good morning once again. Good morning, boys and girls. How are you today? How was your day yesterday? Were you able to do the challenges that I gave you? Dare to be courageous. Have you invited your parents to have worship with you? I hope you do. So before we proceed with our stories for today about courage, I would like to thank our special number for today. So I'm happy to be here with you again today, and I hope you will enjoy our stories and you will learn something new for what I am about to share with you this morning. Okay, so let's start with our verse for today. Our verse for today is very short. It is found in Matthew 14:27. Okay, so again, Matthew 14:27, it says, "But Jesus immediately said to them, 'Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid.'" Okay, but Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." When you are being afraid, think that Jesus is there. You don't have to be afraid. I know you can remember when Jesus talked about that. 14, Matthew 14:27. Okay, let me check that out. 14:27. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid." Okay, so it's according to my Bible. But we shouldn't be afraid. It was a story when Jesus walked on the sea. Okay, so of course, when you see someone who is also walking on the water or on the sea, you will be afraid, right? But Jesus said immediately to them, "Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." Matthew 14:27. Okay, now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went again, walking on the sea. Imagine walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost!" And they cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer." Or he said, "Take courage," in other versions. "It is I, do not be afraid." It's like Jesus talking to us, right? And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. That's already courage, right? But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "O you little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. That means the wind stopped. Then those who were in the boat came and worshipped him, saying, "Truly, truly, you are the Son of God." So remember, Jesus is reminding us to what? Do not be afraid. Okay? Do not be afraid. Take courage. And you just need to trust the Lord and do not doubt. Do not be afraid of ghosts. You see? The disciples said, maybe that was, maybe it's a ghost. So they were very afraid of him. So do not be afraid. Take courage. And remember, Jesus is reaching out to us, telling you, boys and girls, do not be afraid. Telling you, boys and girls, do not be afraid. Take courage. It is I. So that is a very powerful message that God is telling us today. I'll be sharing with you a story about a boy. Okay, about the boy. His name is Milton, and the title of the story is "The Making of Milton." Okay, I invited somebody to read the story for you. So make sure to listen very carefully because tomorrow I have questions to ask you. So are you ready for the story? Here we go.
A Making of Milton. Let me tell you about Milton before he got scared. He used to be so adventurous, but now he never dared. Oh, Milton, he's a brave young boy, is what they used to say. Why, he goes on fun adventures almost every single day. He climbs up all the tallest trees, then swings down on a rope. He rides his bike up long steep hills, then races down a slope. But as he had got older, he had somehow lost his way. He found a new thing scared him when he went out every day. He wouldn't play in football games. He'd always stand aside. He feared he'd fall and hurt himself, and so he never tried. He stayed out of the garden, and instead he played indoors. He worried that the neighbor's dog would get him with his paws. He never slept in darkness. He made sure he used the light. He imagined he saw monsters hiding every single night. He never rode his bike because he thought it went too fast. He pitched himself tumbling as everything rushed past. On one fine sunny morning, Milton headed on his way and came across a strange old man whose beard was long and grey. He wore a cloak with patches and a hat upon his head. He placed a jar in Milton's hands, and this is what he said. "Inside you'll find your courage. I know you've missed it so. With this you will feel brave again. Now I must up and go." With that the old man vanished and left Milton standing there. He held the jar of courage, and he couldn't help but stare. He set off back towards his home and wandered around the back, but sitting in the garden was the neighbor's dog, old Jack. He looked down at the jar he held and felt his courage grow. He slowly walked towards old Jack and felt his worries go. Old Jack rolled over on his back and Milton rubbed his belly. It turned out this dog wasn't scary, just a little smelly. Milton said goodbye to Jack and knew just what to do. He grabbed his bike and helmet, hopped on, and quick off he flew. He pedalled up the steepest hill. He pushed with all his might, and when he reached the top, he thought, "This isn't such a fright. I don't know why I was so scared. This seems like such a breeze." With that, he pushed hard off the ground and flew downhill with ease. As Milton headed straight back home, he cycled past the park. His friends were playing football, and he felt an idea spark. He asked if he could join them, and they handed him the ball. He played with them all afternoon, and several times did fall. But he found it didn't matter. He enjoyed it all the same. He had a blast with all his friends, and they were glad he came. He couldn't understand why he was feeling brave once more. Then he thought about the jar as he sat upon the floor. He took his backpack off his back and opened it with care. He reached inside to find the jar, but there was only air. The jar had disappeared, and the thought filled him with dread. "I cannot do without that jar. It keeps me safe," he said. He quickly turned his bike around. He knew just where to go. He raced to where the old man was. He didn't dare go slow. The old man stood upon the spot from earlier that day. His hat still perched upon his head, his beard still long and grey. The old man turned to Milton and he said, "That isn't true. The jar was never special. There's courage inside of you. You didn't need to use the jar. Your heart was always strong. Your courage never went. You see, you had it all along. Again the old man disappeared, no sign of him around. So Milton sat and wondered, has my courage now been found? He faced up to the neighbour's dog. He cycled down a hill, yet none of this had scared him. Now it just gave him a thrill. He thought about the future, and he saw how it could be. Now that I have my courage back, there's nothing to stop me. The sun began to fade as Milton walked through his front door. He was tired from his adventuring, but still he wanted more. He couldn't have felt better after being scared so long. His courage wasn't really gone. The old man wasn't wrong. He climbed into his bed and then turned out the bedroom light. He didn't even think about it being off all night. So if you're scared or fearful, then remember, you're brave too. Just like Milton, you can find it. Your courage is in you.
Story, right? I really like that story. You know what? The title is The Making of Milton. Milton used to be brave, but then suddenly, he got scared of everything. He got scared of dogs, he got scared of riding his bicycle, he got scared of ghosts, he got scared of sleeping with lights off in the night. Right? Are you like that? You're also afraid of sleeping at night alone? You are afraid of the dark, are you? So you see, there's nothing to be afraid of. Okay? Tomorrow, I will teach you how to make the courage jar. The courage jar where you will put everything that you are afraid of. But then, right, the old man said, actually, there's nothing in the courage jar. You just need to find your courage again because your courage is just in you. So the lesson that we have learned from that story, one is we have to be courageous. Do not be afraid every day. Do not be afraid to play with your friends. Sometimes you are thinking that maybe your friend will not like you, or you are afraid that you will have an accident. You will have an accident riding your bicycle. But you know what? If you are careful enough and you will listen to your parents, you can also ride your bicycle. If you don't know how to ride a bicycle when you are old enough, you can also ride a bicycle. That's the only vehicle that I can ride, bicycle. Okay, so you have nothing to be afraid of. Like our verse for today said, but Jesus immediately said to them, take courage, it is I, don't be afraid. So today, what I wanted to share with you is the same thing. Do not be afraid. It says that your courage is just within you. Sometimes you need to use it and you need to practice. Okay, you need to practice it. Okay, so um, based on the story that we have learned today, I can share with you, or I can tell that you can practice courage by what? Initiating or asking your friends to play with you or to talk with you, right? Be friends with others. Do not be afraid with pets, but you have to be careful. You have also to ask. Okay, you have to also to ask them if it's safe to hold the cat or if it's safe to hold your dog. Because the dog is in the story. You know, having pet is also good, but you have to be careful and make sure that the dogs or the cat are vaccinated. Okay, and the next one is do not be afraid to sleep alone or with lights on. Okay, because God wants you to work through night, especially when you pray. Before you sleep, you pray, right? You said, God, protect us as we sleep today. Send holy angels to guide us. Um, I hope we can we can wake up. I hope we can wake up tomorrow refreshed and happy. Thank you, and something like that, right? When we pray. So that means you don't have to be afraid because you asked God to protect you already, right? So you don't have to be afraid to sleep in the dark or to sleep alone. If you have the opportunity to have your own room, so don't be afraid. Okay, and then the next one is, what's the next one? What else have we learned from the story? To ask for help, right? When he was like feeling helpless, he couldn't find the jar inside his bag. He went back to the old man to ask for help. What happened to my courage jar? So then he got an answer. So it's just the same with you, boys and girls. If you have a question, do not be afraid to ask from your teacher, especially when they are older, because when they are older, they have more wisdom than us. Okay, so do not be afraid to ask. And when you ask a question and you've got an answer, you should listen and you should obey. So I guess that's what I can share with you today. Okay, I don't make this very long because I know you're busy today. I'll make sure that I will be seeing you tomorrow, and then we will have our last day of our Dare to Be Courageous. So don't forget what we have learned today. Okay, so all I can say is God bless, keep safe, take courage, and don't be afraid. God bless you. See you tomorrow.